was one of Austin's most heinous crimes that still haunts people to this day. 20 years ago tonight, 4 teenage girls were bound, raped, and burned. Jennifer and Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, and Amy Ayers, all killed inside a frozen yogurt shop on Anderson Lane in North Austin. 4 men were arrested, 2 of them were convicted, and years later their convictions were overturned. But the investigation continues 2 decades since the killings. There's a small group of detectives in Austin tasked with finding any clue that will crack this case wide open for good this time. KXA and Shannon Wolfson sat down for an exclusive interview with those detectives.
Show of hands, who believes that the 4 who've already been identified are involved in this case? Every one of you.
These 4 guys, if you know everything we know, they're part of it.
The challenge for this small but experienced group of detectives is proving it.
I think we can speak as a whole. It's probably about 85–90% of our time because we usually, as a unit, work this case as a whole.
Detectives Jerry Bazan, Angel Rodriguez, Richard Faithful, and Mark Gilchrist, and their Sergeant Ron Latta make up the APD Cold Case Unit, which was born out of the Yogurt Shop Task Force, created to solve the case back in 1999.
The case never stops just because certain individuals are arrested. You know, the case continues on. There's still, tips coming in.
Ron Latta was part of the original task force in '99. Their investigation led to the arrests of the original 4 suspects: Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, Maurice Pierce, and Forrest Wellborn. Only Springsteen and Scott went to trial. They both confessed and were both convicted, but then set free in 2009 when new testing revealed DNA from an unknown person found on vaginal swabs taken from the youngest victim, Amy Ayers.
As a unit, we all have to remain flexible enough to understand that there is potentially another suspect involved. So part of what we do on a daily basis is to ensure that we, dot all those I's and cross those T's.
Since that is out there, I think there's no other way for it to get solved.
Paul Johnson probably has more time on this case than anyone. He's been working it since 1996.
This case doesn't seem to have an end to my life, evidently.
Or even, evidently, to his career. Johnson retired from APD back in 2004, but when Springsteen and Scott were let go, he started coming back to the department every Wednesday morning to pore over new leads that could lead to the source of the unknown DNA.
That could happen today, or we could go through everybody we know and keep testing forever, and it may never happen. I don't know.
What he does believe 100% is that the original 4 were involved.
It was the confessions that made that leap of just knowing who did it to actually having something that you could take them to court on.
The time not spent on the yogurt shop case is dedicated to Austin's other 140 unsolved murders.
We all struggle with balancing all of the cases. There's not one of us that doesn't get a phone call once or twice or 3 times during the week from a family member of a case that we have not been able to look at.
But as long as the leads keep coming in on the yogurt shop, the cold case unit is going to keep following them.
There are people out there who know, everyone that was involved, who know exactly what happened. After 20 years, it's time to come forward and tell us. Everybody's grown up. They've moved on with their lives. These girls didn't move on with their lives. The families barely are moving on with their lives. So it's time. It's time for somebody to step forward.
There are reminders of the yogurt shop case all over this office, a model of the crime scene, files labeled ICBY, and most importantly, the faces on the wall watching over it all.
Some people don't have anyone speaking for them.
Jennifer and Sarah, Eliza and Amy.
It's us speaking for them. We gotta find out who did it and put them in jail for it.
Reporting in Austin, Shannon Wolfson, KXAN News.
Not everyone thinks the yogurt shop investigators are doing enough.
Every hand in that room went up. Let me tell you, every hand in that damn room is wrong. And every hand in that room hurts these families. What they owe them is to abandon belief and get to work.
Coming up later in our newscast, an in-depth report from Jim Swift about claims that police and prosecutors are blinded by bias.